ever feel like those weather forecasts are like way off sometime? I mean, 30% chance of rain? What
Yeah,
does that even mean?
yeah, it's like they're rolling dice back there.
Right. And it makes you wonder, like, what's the point of all this tech if it can't even tell me if I need an umbrella?
Well, and it's not like it's easy. It's really complicated predicting weather, especially at a local
For
level.
sure. For sure. And that's what makes this thing we're diving into today so interesting, this Prithvi WxC. You sent this over, and man, after digging through this research, it seems like we're on the edge of something big here, like a forecasting revolution.
It really is fascinating stuff. It's not just a slight upgrade. This Prithvi WxC, it's a whole new way of thinking about weather and climate prediction.
You mentioned it's called a foundation model, which
Mm.
is like the perfect name for it. It's like the bedrock of something much bigger.
Exactly. Most models, they're designed for one specific thing, like telling you how much rain to expect or tracking a hurricane. Prithvi WxC, though, that's like our Swiss Army knife.
Ooh, I like that.
Versatile, equipped to handle all kinds of weather and climate tasks from like super localized forecasts to long-term climate modeling. Crazy.
Okay, so break that down for me. What makes it so versatile? What's under the hood?
Well, for starters, the amount of data they use to train this thing is mind-blowing. We're talking 160 different atmospheric variables. From NASA's Merit-2 dataset, which covers decades of global weather patterns, it's insane.
Hold up, 160, that's insane. Most models use what, like 5 or 6, right?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Prithvi WxC is in a whole other league.
No wonder it's called Prithvi, the Sanskrit word for Earth.
Okay.
Okay, so massive data, that's one thing. But it's not just about the data, is it? There's something about how it processes all that information too, right?
You got it. It's called mask reconstruction. And it's kind of genius, actually. Imagine you've got this massive data set, right?
Yeah.
But chunks of information are missing, hidden. And Prithvi WxC's job is to predict what those missing pieces are based on what it does know.
So it's like filling in the blanks in a giant weather puzzle.
Exactly. And by doing this, filling in the blanks, Prithvi WxC learns these really deep connections between those 160 variables. It understands how they all influence each other over time. That's what makes it so good at dealing with how unpredictable weather actually is in the real world.
So we've got this crazy, powerful AI crunching numbers like it's nothing. But what does it all mean, right? Like, how does this translate into, actual results? What can this Prithvi WxC thing actually do?
Well, the obvious one is forecasting. But we're not just talking about your grandma's weather app here.
Right.
This is next level stuff. One area where it really shines is short-term forecasting. Like really short-term. Nowcasting, they call it.
Ah, nowcasting. I remember reading about that in the research.
Mm-hmm.
Super localized, real-time predictions, right?
You got it. Sudden downpours, pop-up thunderstorms, even like microclimates within a city. Stuff that would totally mess up regular models.
And that's where that downscaling thing comes in, right? The
Yeah.
research you sent talked about that, taking like a satellite view of the weather and zooming in to street level. Is that about right?
Exactly. Traditional models, they just can't handle that level of detail. But Prithvi, no problem. It takes this huge scale data and makes it locally relevant.
Man, the possibilities with that. Think about it. Farmers getting alerts for like specific fields, city planners rerouting traffic before a storm hits.
Oh, for sure. And emergency response, right. Knowing exactly where to send help when you need it most. The research, it showed Prithvi downscaled the data from Merit-2 with 4 times greater accuracy than the usual methods. 4 times. That's huge.
That's insane. And you said it wasn't limited to just one data set, right?
Right. They also tested it on Cortex, which is another model used for climate projections. And guess what? It did amazing there too.
So what you're saying is it's adaptable. It can work with different models, different data sets.
Exactly. Like a universal translator for weather data, which is super important because it means we can use it to improve a lot of what we already have, not just, starting from scratch.
That's huge. But let's talk about the long game for a sec. We've been talking a lot about like the everyday weather. But this Prithvi WxC thing, it's built for climate modeling too, right? And there's this whole thing in the research about atmospheric gravity waves. Now, this is where I need you to like break it down for me. What are these waves and why should I care?
Great question. Most people, they don't really think about them, but they're super important. Think of them like ripples in our atmosphere,
Ripples, okay.
caused by all sorts of things. Thunderstorms, jet streams, even mountains. They carry all this energy and they can really mess with weather patterns on a global scale.
Wow, okay. And they're hard to model, right? Why is that?
They're just, well, super complex. It's all about interactions happening at different altitudes, temperatures, wind speeds. Even with our best tech, it's really hard to get them right.
And this is where Prithvi WxC comes in.
Exactly. The research showed it was able to create a way more accurate model for these waves.
Hmm.
And by doing that, it basically opens up all these new possibilities for understanding, like the polar vortex, how hurricanes form, big picture stuff.
Okay, so we've covered everything from tiny microclimates to these massive atmospheric waves. Pretty impressive, right? But I'm curious, what's the big picture here? How does this actually help us?
Well, think about extreme weather, right? Hurricanes, wildfires, all that stuff. Prithvi WXCA could be a game changer for how we deal with
For
those.
sure, for sure. And it's not just theoretical either. You sent over that stuff about Hurricane Ida back in 2021.
Right, right.
That was like a wake-up call. We need to be ready for this stuff. And it seems like Prithvi WxC could really make a difference.
Exactly. Because during IDA, Prithvi's predictions, they were way better than a lot of the models out there. Like,
Yeah.
it even got the rapid intensification part right, which usually throws things off.
Yeah, and even a few hours warning can be huge, right? Evacuations, getting resources in place, it could save lives.
Absolutely. And it's not just hurricanes. Think about wildfires, flash floods, even heat waves. Prithvi WXC could give us the heads up we need to actually do something before disaster strikes.
So it's not just about reacting anymore, it's about anticipating. That's pretty amazing.
It is. And there's another thing. The team behind Prithvi WXC, they're making it open source.
Wait, really? So anyone can use it?
Yeah. They're putting the code out there, making the findings public. It's huge for collaboration, for innovation.
So instead of just one super advanced weather AI, we could have like a whole bunch of them, all working together, tackling climate change from every angle.
Exactly. And that's what's so exciting about all this. It's not just about better weather forecasts, though that's obviously huge. It's about using this technology to understand our planet better, make smarter choices, and hopefully build a future that's a little more, resilient, a little more prepared for whatever comes next.
Absolutely. Sometimes the toughest problems need the most creative solutions, and Prithvi WxC might just be what we need to weather the storm, so to speak. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. Until next time, stay curious.